Hello and welcome to another episode of Unity C# scripting tutorial. So in the last video we have learned about while loop, and in this video we're gonna learn about another loop called for loop. So let's get started. Now the basic concept behind while loop and for loop is exactly the same, but only there's a difference in the format. For loop is more compact, so we can put all those things together in one place. So let's see what we were actually doing in case of the while loop. In case of while loop, first of all, we needed a variable that we were initializing at the first place. Then we were checking the condition. Then we were doing these things. And finally, we were incrementing the variable value so that sometimes the condition gets false. In case of for loop, we will do all these things but together at the same place. So let's take a look at the format of the for loop. So in case of while loop, we were writing while, and inside parentheses we are writing the condition and then the things to do. In case of for loop, we will write the keyword for, and then within the pair of parentheses we will first within the pair of parentheses we will actually not only write the condition, but we will also write two other things. We will initialize the variable at the first place, then we will check the condition, and finally we'll increment the value. So as you can see, we were doing the three things that we are doing in while loop separately. Here we are doing all these things at the same place. And it's very helpful sometimes to do all those things at the same time instead of writing different statements for them. So let's take a look at the practical example of for loop. So after this out of while loop statement, I will do exactly the same thing that I did with while loop, but this time with for loop. So let's write for, and then as I've said, you have to write a pair of parentheses and then a pair of curly braces. So inside this pair of parentheses, we have three parts separated by semicolons. So in the first part, we have to initialize the variable. So our variable is still I, so we will initialize I with the value 1. Okay. Then here we have to write the condition. So what was our condition? Our condition was that I needs to be less than 6. So we will write I less than 6. Okay. And finally here we want to increment the value of the variable like we did here. So here we will write I plus plus. So here we are doing this thing, and this thing, not separately but at the same place. And finally inside it we will debug.log the value of I equals plus I, the same thing that we did before. Okay, and we don't need to increment the value of I because we already did that. And finally we'll write debug.log the same thing but out of for loop. Okay, so here we did the same thing and it will do the same task but we're using for loop. So let's test that and see what happens. Oops, I haven't actually stopped this. So let's stop this, clear the console, and if I play it right now, you guys can see, if I just make it a bit bigger, you guys can see that here it is the while loop running. So in case of while loop, the value was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally it came out of the while loop. Here it came out of the while loop and then it printed out of while loop, and then the for loop started executing, and at the first the value was 1, then 2, then 3, 4, 5, and finally it says out of for loop. So the same thing is happening, but here we are using for loop in a different format. So I hope you guys liked this video, and if you guys actually learned something. If you have any questions or problems, just write those in comments. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, and if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. It helps a lot. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.